Well, hey everybody, it's Romania Black, and it's been a little while for me, but you all are watching this immediately after episode 4 of Delicious and Dungeon Meshy. But I'm gonna be honest, I recorded the first 4 episodes of Dungeon Meshy about a month ago. I finished about a month ago recording episode 4, and then I got busy with other shows on the channel that have started. I got busy with things for work, and so I'm glad that I had recorded ahead so that I could get the show started. But it's been a hot second for me since I've watched Dungeon Meshy, and I want to get back into it. So we're on episode 5 of Dungeon Meshy. I'm super excited. We're rounding out the year with episode 5. Now, am I going to be cooking this episode? I don't know. Last week, or the last episode that y'all watched of Dungeon Meshy with me, we met some ogres. We got to make some fresh garden dinner and luncheons. It was great. Got to get some fresh garden goods. Got to go see some ogres. It was great. Had a nice little interpersonal communication going on. Lio still has that little being inside of his sword that we don't know about, and we're making our way down level by level as we go to hopefully find the red dragon and save Falin, his sister. So that's where we left off at. So I'm still gonna do like what I've done in the past. I feel like every couple episodes I'm gonna ask for Q&A. So even if we cook something on this episode, I'll probably ask for a Q&A on Patreon for next episode, which if you are a patron, you probably have seen all the Q&As that I've been doing for Dungeon Meshy, and you'll continue seeing them as we go through the season. But I'm super excited. I'm excited that we'll have a season 2 hopefully next year. It's going to be really exciting. It's the end of the year. I'm super looking forward to, hopefully you all have enjoyed Dungeon Meshy so far. It's such a good show. And it has given me incentive to watch this show even more, because I coach a speech team at a school, and the students that are on that speech team, there are several of them that like anime, and so we've been talking back and forth. We've talked about shows like Cowboy Bebop and Death Note and Naruto and stuff like that. But several of them are like, they're like, have you seen Dungeon Meshy? And I'm like, I'm watching it right now. No spoilers, please. And they've been really good about not spoiling, but they're just like, I love it. And so I'm like, yes. So I am excited to watch this show even further and be able to talk with them about it, which is really exciting. So more incentives, right? But in any case, I'm super excited to get started on episode 5. Before we start, though, I want to give a really quick shout out over to our philanthropy tier over on Patreon to thank you all so much for all of your support. Honestly, I don't use Patreon funds to buy the food that I use for this channel, because I'm going to eat it anyway, so it's just like going to the grocery store. But it's nice to know that for other things like subscriptions and manga that I read for the channel, and books that I've done reactions for, and shows that I've done reactions for, and movies that I've had to buy to do reactions for, you all help on Patreon to help support that, and I use the proceeds to help fund those things and cosplay and things like that. So it's really, really exciting. So with that being said, I want to give a special shout out to our philanthropy tier over on Patreon and thank them for their support. So thank you, Alex Cornejo, Anime Annie, as well as Be Happy, Bryant Reed, Destiny Marie, Damage3245, Dana, Danger Zone, Danny Donmai, Devorin, as well as Ichu, Eric, Fisho, Ghostly Turnip, El Freya, Liam Poles, Lyndon, Matthew Palfinier, Murphew, Nancy Mass Art, as well as Nicholas, Sunspots, Trails, Translucent Men, Shimoyama, Alexandra Q, Moroni W, as well as I alone am the bitchless one. And thank you for all of Patreon and YouTube for your support. I greatly appreciate it. All of my love. Rounding out the season and rounding out the year with 11,000 subscribers is super exciting. 10,000 subscribers was a big milestone. It was like a big check mark, and so now it's just onward and upward, and hopefully next year I can make 15 maybe, or further. We'll see where it goes, but I'm super excited. I'm glad you all enjoy the reactions and discussions, but we're not gonna waste any more time. I'm super excited to dive back into Dungeon Meshy. Like I said, it's been a while since I recorded episode 4, so I'm super hyped to get back in and see where episode 5 takes us to finish out this year and start next year. So with that being said, we are going to start Dungeon Meshy episode 5, and we're going to do that here in 3, 2, 1, and let's go. Yeah. Get my sound up a little bit. Aww. Super cute. Oh, it feels good to hear this OP again. Aww. Marcel. I love that her staff is like a lantern. I love that. Yes. Oh, it feels so good to get back to this. Yeah, are we ever going to get with those other characters, or are they all just red herrings? Maybe they are. Maybe we're going to get flashbacks with them. And this character, because this character kind of looks like Casca from Berserk a little bit. The one with dark hair. Kind of reminds me of Casca. I don't know if they're male or female, but... Yeah. I love all... There's all the female characters there. I guess they're male because then there's all the male characters there, which is like Laios, his sister and brother. Yeah. I'm curious if there's a significance to the OP where they both meet hands and their brother and sister. I mean, we don't know if there's significance to either of them, but they both seem kind of like commoners, so I don't think they have any noble bloodlines. But we don't know that. I guess we'll find out. Oh. Oh. Oh, we get to see him. Yes. Oh, he's a foodie. Okay. Kabru. Oh my gosh. Oh, their eyes are so blue. You're eating their food. Oh. Oh, interesting. This definitely feels like a transition into a new storyline. Oh. Oh, his voice actor. Or I'm gonna look that up. It sounds familiar. Oh. She's pretty proud. Oh. Oh, Reen. Kabru is so pretty. Oh. Oh. Okay. Interesting. She seems like the equivalent to Marcel. Oh. And she seems like the Chilchuck equivalent. Interesting. Yeah. Ooh. Meek Bell. Oh. Oh. Oh my god. You and Laios would be such good friends. You both are ridiculous. Well. Oh, you don't want to eat monsters? Maybe you need to meet Laios and he can teach you some things. Oh. Oh. Recently, huh? Huh. Interesting, the layout shifting. What is it? Are you like Freerin that went the grimoire? You are like Freerin! Oh my god, Kabru! Oh, wow! Is it real or not, though, or is it a trap? Ah! Huh. Oh. You're not gonna show us if his heads or tails? How dare you? Okay. Are we just gonna follow them as the party? Or no, okay, I was like, are we gonna go back to the other group? Oh, shit. Oh. Is it the treasure? Oh, crap. Oh. Surely they're not dead, they're just unconscious. I can't believe they're meeting them. Don't. Oh. Oh, it reacted to it. Oh. Oh. Oh, they're monsters in the coins. Oh. Oh. Oh, shit. Oh, ew! No! Nope! Nope! Oh! She's like, hell no! Oh my god. Treasure bugs. Oh. Yeah. The sword recognized it. Uh-huh. Right. The sword reacted. Oh, that's cool. That's a cool little treasure thing. Nice. That's a cool little mechanism. Ah! I mean... Oh. Are you going to eat them? Oh my god, Marcel's like, please God, no! Oh my god. Am I gonna cook bugs? I don't know about that. Do not show us his underside. Yeah. Right. Oh my god. Oh. Oh wow. Oh my god. Oh my god. Yeah, I don't know about cooking bugs. Oh, yeah, no, the moment you start talking about removing eggs and larvae, nope. Nope. Oh my god. Yeah. Oh. I can see why it would bring good fortune, of course. Oh, wow. Don't ask why. Oh, wow. Oh. Oh, right. Oh, the bun, the burger bun. Laios is like, I'm so excited. Oh my god. It looks like a Gushers burger. It looks like Fruit Gushers. Oh my god. Right, yeah. Maybe that is why it responded. Laios, what we doing? Oh. Yeah. Oh. Ah! Let me give you a name. So are they just gonna leave the people there? Oh my god, no. Why did you let them throw it away? Yes, why? Kinsuke. Kinsuke. Laios, I love you. You're so sweet. I can't believe they threw a bag of gems away. Dude, really? Oh my god. I can't believe they just left them there. That is surely not the last we've seen of them. Oh. Oh. Surely they're not dead. Oh. Yeah. Oh. Oh. Oh no! Run it with the burger! Don't drop the burger! Oh my god. Oh no! No, Laios! No! Oh shit! Oh no, don't let him possess you! Oh! Crap. Well, crap. Well, don't complain when this is all you got. Beggars can't be choosers. I mean, she's your sister and all. Didn't you know? Was good at dealing with ghosts. Oh. She's so sweet. Oh. She's so soft. Right? Oh. Oh, shit. Oh. 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 Oh, she's so soft and sweet. Falin. Oh. 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 Why is she the most precious? Why is she the most precious? Of course she's Laios' sister. And Marcel's like, I'm not exactly as subtle as her. Oh, with a gentle embrace! Oh my god! With the minimal amount of magic. Oh. Okay. Oh, you had holy water this whole time? Really? Yeah, right? I mean, I'm not surprised he would know. Right. Okay. Uh-huh. Oh. Oh. It's alcohol. Oh. Right. I can see all of this. What soup are you making, sir? Yeah, you're winging this! What? What? They're all like, what? Special fusion holy water. That looks like nerd soup. Are you making a Molotov cocktail? Oh no! Oh my god. Oh no. Falin, no. Oh. Oh no. Don't say that. Don't say that, Laios. Yeah, oh. Oh shit. Ah! He just hit the ghost with it. Oh no. Oh my god. Oh my god. Ah! Look at him! Look at him go! I mean... Oh no, don't say that. Don't say that. Yes. Oh. Yeah. Yes! Don't let Senshi have all the fun. Oh my god! Oh. Oh, wow. Oh, what? You can make a slushie out of it? Ice cream? What? Exorcism sorbet! Yeah, holy water turned into ice cream? Oh my god. Laios is like, no. Bring on the Jesus sorbet. Let's go. This ice cream has been blessed by the Holy Spirit. Eat it! Oh my god, that's hilarious. Oh, just some slime shavings to make it jig a little bit. Some gelatin. I love you. Offers it to Kinsuke. Girl, chill checking her. I would not hang off the edge like that. True. Oh, no, no, no. Oh my god, no, that's not what he's saying, but he's just making the best of the situation. Ah! Oh, sweetheart. Lio, sweetheart. Right, exactly. Oh no. Ah! Oh my god. What a wild and wacky episode. I don't know if we're going to be cooking anything from that episode. Unless it's just me next episode eating a pint of ice cream. Maybe. Maybe. Who knows? Oh my gosh. What a wacky time. Oh my god. That is actually really cute. Huh. Oh. I haven't watched a CD in a while. I don't believe Kabru and them are done for. I feel like they're going to be fine. We just have to see what happens to them. I don't believe this is the last we saw of them. Not by a long shot. No way. No. I wonder, are we going to get a end credit scene by chance? Or is it going to be... It's hard to tell with this streaming service if there's going to be end credit scenes or not. We'll have to see. Maybe. Ah, no, it's not. Ah, I wanted there to be a post-credit scene. Dang it. I feel like this entire episode was a setup. And I mean, I guess it's fitting that we round out the year with sweets and treats, right? And gemstones and treasures. It feels oddly weird because as I'm recording this and as you all will be watching it, it's the end of the year. Christmas has come and gone if you celebrate Christmas. And so it feels like we get all this treasure and goodies and tricks and treats and we get sweets. And I'm like, it feels very, I'm an American who celebrates Christmas and then New Year's we always have like treats and everything. So it feels very weird to be having all of this, right? But okay. But this definitely felt like a setup episode. It felt like it was setting up for a lot of things to come, especially this second party that we've met, including Kabru. Kabru's the only one that we got a name for, other than, well, the one girl that was kind of like their Chillichuk equivalent. She got a name. We'll talk about it here in a second. It was like Mary Bell or something. But Kabru seems like they're being set up to be later on in this series. I don't know. I refuse to believe, one, that they're dead, and I refuse to believe that that's the last time we'll ever see them. Someone that has a character design like Kabru's with those bright blue eyes, those like aquamarine eyes, that suspiciously has a very compatible personality, I feel, to Laios. I look, they haven't met yet, so I can't ship them yet, but we'll talk about it. My shipper goggles were like all ready to go at this episode, so we need to talk about this and get into it. But it definitely felt like a transition episode. Now, I'm going to tell you all right now, there's not going to be a cooking part at the end of this episode. We'll talk about the recipe in this. We'll talk about the recipe and all of that, but I have a feeling that whatever we make in episode 6, we'll start out the new year with some cooking. Let's do that. We'll start out the new year with some cooking and go from there. Which we did with episodes 1 and 2, so, you know, like you do. But yeah, I don't know how feasible it is to make. I'm sure some people have made some equivalents to ice cream. I don't have an ice cream maker. Ice cream's rather difficult to just make by hand. I feel like it is, so we'll talk about it. I want to go back through, though, and listen to this discussion, because there's some little interplay going on with the world building and talking about what's going on in the world of this realm. And we've kind of talked about it a little bit as the series goes on, but I want to tie back to it because they're like, how boring is this? And they're like, yeah. And so everybody's just eating at this pub. For a pub, though, we'll say, looking at what Kabru is eating, like this fish that they're eating that's like sauteed with the broccoli and mushroom, like risotto over it, and the hard-boiled egg, and like this, it looks like it's flaky phyllo crust, like pie that they have, and the bread and the meatloaf. This is some high-end pub food if they're eating at just a random pub. But yeah, it's just a small talk going on. So we have Kabru. I'm going to be honest with you. Kabru's design reminds me of Casca from Berserk. I know Kabru is a male. I am presuming that they are male. But Kabru, their design, other than their eyes, is very reminiscent of Casca from Berserk. And Laios, even though they're not totally like Guts, I don't know. It's fueling my inner shipper. I'm like, could this be? But they haven't met each other yet, except when Kabru was unconscious. So we can't say anything, but I refuse to believe this is the last time we saw Kabru. It just seems like they're being set up for something later on. So yeah, they also feel like they're a foodie. Like everybody else there is just eating their food and having a good time. Kabru is the only one that seems to be savoring the food and really enjoying it. They seem like a foodie, and I'm like, okay, cool. So they have 6 people in their party, which our current crew only has 4. They would have 5 if they had Falin. And if they had the other members. I like this woman that she has the staff with the little horns coming off it, and she has the red and black motif. She seems like the goth mage that goes with them. I like her character. Then they have a dog. Why not? Like an Anubis. Why not? And then they have like a dwarf, it looks like, and they have the full squadron. And they're like, wow, this is really good. Yeah, it looks really amazing. And they're like, when we enter the dungeon again, we won't be able to have delicious food for a while. Here's the thing. We're going to talk about this and why I think Laios is going to meet Kabru again, because Kabru has a lesson to learn. Because they're like, once we get into the dungeon, we're not going to have food that's any good anymore. We have to savor this while we're here, before we go back down in there. And then they're like, Kabru. And we see this other person sit down. And they're like, how you doing? I totally get the one girl that's sitting beside him. I get her disdain because it's kind of like when you and your friends are out having dinner somewhere and some random person comes to sit down with you. But, you know, rather than just say, hey, how you doing? Let's chat up later. They just take a seat at the table and you're like, they're like, we have a vibe going on, dude. What are you doing messing with our vibe? It very much felt like that. And they're like, oh, it seems like you're doing well. How's it going? And they're like, oh, we still have a long way to go. Until a while ago, you were just fledglings, but now you have an air of confidence. So I guess that by fledglings, it means they're all very young dungeon goers. But he takes like their pie and starts eating it. He's like, on the other hand, none of the other big parties are faring so well. I love the one girl where she's like slowly eating her toast being like, you bitch, you're eating our food. Like, how rude. Like, just don't sit down there and start eating people's food. And Kabru says, is that so? So then we see all these missing posters on the wall. One of them kind of looks like Chilchuk, which is really funny, actually. Falling outs, missing Pearsons, and trouble over money matters. So we've seen from the episodes so far that a lot of parties have members quit and reassign and reforge and regroup. We've seen that going on in the dungeon, and we've seen people run out of money and have to leave. Like, we've seen all of the trials and tribulations. They've been talked about, and we've seen a couple of them so far. But this guy just confirms it, and he's like, to everyone's surprise, it might be you folks who end up defeating the lunatic magician. I don't know why Kabru and them are considered to be so special, why they're the ones that are considered to be the group. I mean, why not Laios and Falin? Why them? But I love Kabru's design. I love the big, bright turquoise eyes. Look, also, Laios has the blonde hair. Kabru has the dark hair. It's the anime ship duality. I know they haven't talked to each other yet, but my shipper senses are tingling looking at Kabru. I'm like, But we'll get to the point where I really think is the reason why they will be shipped together. And we'll talk about that. And they're like, oh no, I'm not sure about that. Now the one mage, she kind of gets mad at Kabru because he doesn't speak with confidence, but I wonder if Kabru is confident. He just doesn't want to, he's trying to be humble. He doesn't want to oversell, because here's the thing. If your group is well known in the dungeon, there is a good chance that when it's a dog-eat-dog world out there, there's a very good chance that you're painting a target on your group's back. So Kabru could be like, hey, let's not draw attention to ourselves. Let's just sneak down there and do our thing, kind of like what Laios and them are doing. And Kabru's like, I don't want to draw attention to myself and my group because then we'll be targets. Even though the mage, she kind of takes it as a point of pride and gets kind of upset that he just denies it, right? And she kind of tells him about there, she's like, you gave him a polite smile. Instead of putting on a polite smile and being non-committal, you should have told him clearly. Of course we'll be the ones to defeat the magician. We won't become adventurers like you who live from hand to mouth. And Kabru's like, oh. That glance where Kabru's like, oh. That reminded me of Laios. I feel like Laios, whereas Kabru tries to maybe, I don't want to use the word manipulative, but where Kabru tries to hide and be modest, I feel like Laios is kind of a balance to that, where Laios is very straightforward and just like, no, here's what we're going to do. And maybe Kabru doesn't want to do that for certain reasons. They seem kind of like surprised that she brought it up. But we've also established through the course of this series that a lot of these adventurers, even though the original goal was to go defeat the magician, a lot of them at this point have either made businesses out of the dungeon crawls, or they use it as training for other things, or it leads to things that are not defeating the magician, or it becomes them just surviving and scraping by. It kind of almost feels like when you become an actor as a profession, right? If you become an actor as a profession in Hollywood, only the select few can make it to that dungeon level, and everybody else is just doing gigs to try to get by and get to it. So it's like, it does kind of be like, is this your dream, or is this just something you're chasing without any real end goal? And that's what she's trying to get at, right? She's like, are you serious about this, Kabru? And he's like, oh, Reen. Reen is her name. Yeah. And then Kabru's like, no, it's fine. Let's show them with actions rather than words. And that seems to make her change her tune a little bit, where Kabru says, we'll venture a little deeper this time. And let's make careful preparations. The whole thing with the wink and the and the thumbs up, I was like, that seems like a very Laios thing to do. Like rally the team together, get their spirits up and do that. And then it shows them gathering their weapons. So Kabru and the Anubis get their swords and stuff. We see like the dwarf getting like, looks like medicines. We see the one getting the herbs. I love the gloves that the one girl has. They're really cool. Gathering up all the herbs, and then Reen and the other one look like they're mages. They're gathering up all the magic. Then they get tricked by bugs, which is hilarious. And so then they go to the grocery store and they're like, a week's worth of food for 6 people and water for 2 days. Yeah. And they pack up. I do think this speaks volumes that while I feel like it speaks volumes to Senshi's role within the group, because these guys pack for 6 days worth of food and it's so heavy and they only had like 2 days worth of water. Whereas Senshi's like, instead of us packing all this takeout, we'll learn how to live off the land and make our own food, and it'll be much more convenient and it'll be much more sustainable than us just having to go buy food all the time. It seems to be, that seems to be a nice contrast between both groups, because they note how they're like, food is a trickier issue than the monsters when venturing into the lower levels. Yeah, because you gotta stay fed, right? How do people manage when they go underground for a month? And then Kabru's face is like in the shadows. So this is what I wanted to get at, because Kabru's, they're like Mick Bell. Mick Bell is the Chilchuck equivalent for them. And then Kabru, the moment that Kabru's like face lights up from the shadows, I was like, oh, that's a very Laios. Kabru could probably match Laios's freak. I'm just saying. I feel like this could be matched. I feel like this could be a thing. Because when he says, let me tell you how. And then he grabs her shoulder and says they eat other adventurers that they meet in the dungeon. And Mick Bell gets freaked out about that. And Reen's like, come on now. And they're like, it's easier to hunt monsters than to attack humans. So Reen says, or they probably just eat the monsters in the dungeon. And Kabru's like, oh, well, I sure don't want to end up like them. The moment that Kabru said that, the moment that Kabru's like, I wouldn't want to eat the monsters in the dungeon. What? At that moment, I was like, Kabru is going to meet Laios in them. He's going to meet Laios in them and change his tune around, because Kabru is kind of like Marcel, where he's a big foodie. He likes his gourmet food and he's like, eat monsters in the dungeon. And I'm like, what I need to happen is for Laios to show Kabru the way, to guide him. And Kabru has an element of freak in him that I'm like, I feel like Laios could match that. I need this to happen. And when they were passed out and Laios and them were like, oh, well, they'll probably die, I was like, no, this is your chance to meet him. What? No! And so I don't think this is the last time they will have met. I feel like Kabru, whether Kabru and his team all make it out alive or not, I feel like Kabru will run into them again and be like, you. And they'll be like, oh, you. And I need that to happen. So what a tease. This episode was such a tease. Damn it. So they managed to make it down to the bottom, and they go into this zombie horde. They managed to raid this zombie, and they're like, the monsters are more active than usual, and the dungeon's layout is shifting. And then they discover the box of treasures, and they're like, oh, wow. And that's when the bugs attach them. Now, I'm assuming that the bugs attaching them, I'm assuming that as they grabbed it and everything, that everything seemed like it was going fine, but did it just knock them out? I don't think it killed them, right? Because then we have Chilchuck and the others. They're like, oh, they were on their way back to town. The poor things. And what'd they say there? Maybe they were attacked by a type of ghost. Maybe they starved. Maybe they had a quarrel over money. So then, what does Marcel say? Because I think they think that they're dead. Because Marcel's like, well, the corpse retriever will find them soon. So I'll pray for them so they don't become zombies. So, I mean, I guess they assume they're either dead or passed out, but these aren't medics, clearly. So our team that probably doesn't know CPR is not going to check their vitals to see if they're still alive. They're just like, well, the corpse retrieval will come get them. It'll be fine. Hopefully they don't turn into ghosts between now and then. And they just push them up against the wall like trash on a New York street. I'm like, what? The world building sets you up to know that, like, the dungeon life is hard, and they're like, well, we can't stop and check and make sure they're alive or not. Let's just push them over here and the corpse retriever will take care of them. And if they're not dead, they'll take them back to the surface. So we'll just see what happens. But I'm like, after we just listened to the one guy tell Kabru that people were missing and stuff, I'm like, this is why people are missing, because whenever somebody sees a body, they don't check to see if it's conscious or not. They're just like, they'll be fine. Wild, right? So a lot of this episode is focusing on they don't do it the way that Falin does. That Falin, she was there to be the voice of reason and to be the kind person. And they just leave their stuff there too, which is crazy. Like, no wonder people probably loot it and take it and everything. I wouldn't be surprised if Kabru wakes up and their stuff is stolen, or something happens to some of his group members and he gets pissed and he's like, who just abandoned us on the side of the wall? And then comes into contact with their group again. And Laios is like, we thought you were dead. And they're like, did you check for a pulse? Well, no. It feels like a setup. But a large portion of this episode is them feeling bad because Phalin's not there. Because Falin was kind of the sentimental heart of the group. She was the mage that would dispel ghosts. She's super kind. She's super soft and sweet. I'm not surprised that she's Laios' sister. Laios is pretty dense, but I love him. He has a heart of gold. He's a little golden retriever, and I love him. And Falin seems like the female equivalent of that just knew magic rather than sword fighting. I love them to pieces already. I can tell why Marcel was about her. Can tell. So yeah. And I also love that the sword now has a name, Kinsuke. Love it. And I love that Kinsuke reacts to the gems. I love it. I love the idea of Kinsuke being a sensor and being like a way for Laios to tell if there's danger nearby. It reminds me of Lord of the Rings when Elijah Wood, when Frodo has the glowing sword that notifies them when an orc is coming. It felt like that. It felt like Kinsuke was responding to the monsters. And I was like, yes. And I think that's really valuable because normally, some of the dungeon monsters are easy to spot and identify. But then you have others like these that hide in the trinkets and you're like, oh, wouldn't have known if it hadn't been for the sword identifying it. And I love that. I love that they're bugs and everything. So yeah, get away from the bodies. And the idea that the necklace was a centipede, nope. I'm with Marcel. If I had saw someone's necklace turn into a bug, no. I would have been like Marcel and been like blasting everything. Yeah, there's one thing I can't stand. It's like parasitic bugs. No. I love of her just blasting it, being like, absolutely not. And everybody with the coins on them. Stunning magic. I love it. This episode was hilarious. But yeah, I love that there's a difference between the male and female coin bugs. And then, of course, Senshi is like... Now, Laios doesn't want to talk about Kinsuke having a consciousness yet. But Senshi's like, oh, we could eat these bugs. And Marcel's like, no! Let's not eat bugs! Now, look. I understand that in a world where people are trying to find sustainable ways to eat and feed the world, that bugs are a high source of protein and that you can't eat them. I'm not quite there yet. I'm not quite ready to ground up crickets and cook them to eat them. I'm with Marcel. I'm like, so he sorts them out and says most of them are the bugs. There's a handful of gems. The one aspect of this episode that I was like, Senshi, is when he just tells Chilchuk that he could throw out the gems. And I'm like, tell them that those are gemstones and gold. Y'all could have bought stuff with that. What are you doing, sir? Like, that was the one part I was like, how dare you? So anyway, I'm also with Marcel where she's just like covering her face. Like, I don't want to see about eating these bugs. And Chilchuk's like, are you serious? So they managed to cook them. They decide to like pluck off the legs and everything. I love Laios is so excited. He's so ready to see how we're going to cook these bugs. And he's like, oh, you can tell the male from female. Isn't that cute? And then the rings have a little springy spring. So they're like, we'll put them, if they float, they treasure bugs, And then Senshi's like, well, how will we cook them? Well, we'll take off the legs and we'll boil them to improve their texture. We'll remove the legs from the pearl centipedes. I like improving the texture. And then we'll skewer and grill them. And then we'll heat some oil and cook the underside of the coin bugs. Like, oh, I don't know. And we'll salt them lightly. I love that he does the meme where he's like, do the sprinkling of salt. We'll coat them with oil as you stir them. Oh my God. And then there. I was like, if you flip them on their backside, you can't see their nasty legs. I was okay with the coin bugs if you were going to roast them. Sure. If you were going to skewer the pearls, sure. But the moment in the tiara that you said remove the eggs and larvae, that's the part where you lost me. That's the part where I was like, oh, this thing has eggs and larvae in it? No, no, no. That's the part where you lost me. And I'm like, I don't know about that. And he's like, shatter the nest and stew it together. Yeah. Yeah. No. So they have like basically, and it's done. Yeah, I don't know about that. So Chilchuck finds it fine. I'd be with Marcel though. I'd be like, if it was like a gooey texture, I'd be like, no, I don't think I can handle this. Meanwhile, Laios has this like monster bug burger and is having the time of his life. So good for him. It just looks like a bunch of gummy gushers in a burger bun. I don't know how I feel about this. So, but Laios, for all of his golden retrieverness, he is smart enough to realize that the treasure bugs are probably the same type of genus as the parasite inside the sword. He's like, they're probably the same type of creature and they function in a similar way, right? And he tries to offer the coin to the sword to see if it reacts to it, and it does. So he's like, okay, maybe it recognizes me as a friend. I'm like, okay, Laios. And then he gives it the name Kinsuke. I love when he holds the sword up saying, you know, that its name is Kinsuke. It's so freaking cute. Adorable. But the poor gems that got thrown away. Meanwhile, while they're worried about, I love the screenshot of while Marcel, I'm going to take a picture of it, while Marcel and Senshi and them are lamenting the loss of their treasure. While they're doing that, oh my God, it is hilarious. While they're lamenting the loss and their heads are pressed up against the banister, Laios is just hugging Kinsuke, being like, Kinsuke, my bestie. I'm like, oh my God, freaking adorable. Love it. Love it. So yeah, they just leave the bodies. And then we have the hazy ghosts, which is kind of terrifying because, yeah, what if the ghosts possess Kabru and his teammates up there? What if that ends up happening? I hope not, but they kind of just left the bodies up there, so who knows? Just what? But they lament that Falin is not there to use her magic to ward off the ghosts, and Marcel kind of laments that she's like, I'm pretty flashy with my magic. I can ward off the ghost, but it's like a more violent, fiery magic than Phalin's like kind heart and compassion. Which the ghost aspect is kind of creepy because it almost looks like flesh and tendons, like on the ghostly aura that derives around them. And then when they start possessing people, it starts to like freeze, like frostbite around them, which is kind of creepy. Like the world building's really good with the ghosts, but Marcel manages to scare them away with the fire. But what's interesting is that her methods are kind of more violent and they harm the ghosts and get them all riled up. Whereas Phalin's objective was to use kindness and just make the ghosts go away in a kind and sincere and gentle manner, which is very on brand for Laios and his sister, but it also makes sense now why she sacrificed herself to save her brother against the dragon. But she's so sweet. I don't blame Marcel, who's blushing from, you know, finding her to be very sweet. And she's like, a dispersed ghost will simply return to its normal state over time. It causes them unnecessary suffering. Oh, and even the one guy, which again, world building, the people that die in these dungeons getting possessed by the ghosts and turn into zombies, creepy, right? But Falin gives them a hug and makes the ghost go away. And that way the body's just left behind for the corpse retriever, which is... I like Falin and the character development we have with her. She's super sweet, and I already like her so much, and I'm like, I don't want her to be dead. I have a feeling that I don't know what they're going to do with her character, because I feel like they're going down to the bottom of the dungeon to rescue her from the dragon, which leads me to believe that she's going to be okay, but then like she was eaten by the dragon. So either the dragon spit her back up, or how slow do these done? They said 2 months the dragons digest, but I'm like, what are they going to do with that? Like, is she going to be okay? Like, what? You want her to be okay because the more you find out about her, the sweeter Falin is. But I'm like, what do we do? Like, what? How does this work? So it's leaving me very curious to know like what we're going to end up doing with her character. And Marcel's like, look, should I do what Falin did? She's like, I love that she makes the comment there. She's like, could I possibly? I'll make them explode with a gentle embrace. Marcel's like, I'm too violent to be like Falin, which I get that. I love it. I would like to think I'm like Falin, but I'm probably more like Marcel. And then they're like, you said it yourself, you can't do it the way that Falin does. So instead, we just got to find, what can we do instead? That's why I'm trying to make them explode with the minimal amount of magic needed. So then they're like, I'm saying that you can't do that. And Senshi's like, okay, well, what we're going to do then is we're going to make a charm to get rid of ghosts. We're going to make holy water. Of course, in Dungeon Meshi, you can make holy water. Why wouldn't you be? So what was his method of making it? He's like, oh, there's many customs from around the world. And we're just going to combine them all together. We're going to make a fire is the first step. We're going to light all these candles. And then Laios is like, well, will the light of a candle ward off ghosts? And he's like, well, that's just too weak on its own. If they come in larger numbers, it's going to be a more substantial force. So, think of the golden beetle. Like, its characteristics led people to worship it. So it's a symbol of the sun and its deity. So it looks like he took some bits and pieces left from the treasure bugs. And then he talks about alcohol. And I love that we have the snake, like the Garden of Eden, and wine and all of that, like Dionysus. I love that. He's like an essential offering to a god and possesses disinfectant purposes. So there's some alcohol in it. I'm like, I'm sure if you could make this, it'd be like a wine slushie. A Holy Communion wine slushie is what Senshi's making. I'm sure that would be great, but I don't think I'm good enough to venture with it. And then they put salt in it. So yeah, it's like liquor and salt and sugar and ice. Sure. I'm sure you can make ice cream if you wanted to and put some mint in there. Now, the internal organs of creatures, I don't know. But, and then put this to the fire and you make holy water. I love everyone's skeptical look as he's doing this. Marcel and even Laios are like, I don't know how this works exactly. That is hilarious. That is so funny. So yeah, then we have holy water. So then I love that the way that the holy water works as Laios and them are being taken over by these ghosts is he just swings the holy water around and bops them in the head. That is hilarious. The power of Christ compels you. So Laios has this dream as he's being possessed by this ghost. And it's of his sister. And he says, the whole, why couldn't it have been me? If I had been taken by the dragon instead of her, this mess would never have happened. But here's the thing. I feel like with Falin, she's a mage, so maybe she used her magic to get away from the dragon. She clearly used her magic, and not only that, but her compassion to ward off the ghosts. So Falin is pretty special in terms of that. So maybe she used her powers of doing that to ward off the dragon or get away from his clutches. I feel like if either of the two had the ability to get away from the dragon, it would be Falin. More so than Laios. So even though Laios feels bad about it, I definitely think that the better thing probably happened. But yeah, I like Chilchick's like, I saw my dead dad from beyond the river. And then meanwhile, Marcel's like, what in the world? I love this shot. I love the blue glow as Senshi battles. The ghost spirits look like the Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island. They look like the zombies from Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island, which is great. What a throwback. But I love Senshi doing this. It's so good. Like, the blue lighting on him is just fantastic. That'll probably be the thumbnail, maybe. I want to do either Kabru as the thumbnail or Senshi battling the ghosts. They're like, man, that holy water did the trick, right? And Laios is like, really? That worked? And he's like, maybe we were being possessed by Falin. And I love how Laios explains it. And they were like, you don't think Phalin's a ghost? That's pretty morbid. He's like, no. He's like, we were possessed with the idea that we needed Falin around. Because Senshi doesn't know Falin. So Senshi doesn't act under the mindset that they need someone. So Laios is saying maybe we got a little bit codependent on Falin and we're relying on her rather than solving the problem ourselves. And Senshi solved the problem while we were sitting there griping and complaining about not being able to do it. Which is, I like that Marcel kind of sticks up for Falin, being like, don't say that she's dead. We have to take care of things on our own. I love Senshi. He's so good. He's so great. And they're like, okay. And then they're like, oh, Senshi, let me help. And I like that they each take the holy water and use it to fight the ghosts. That's really cool. So yeah, or maybe it's just Laios that does it. So the ghosts they're so cold, which I like the world building that we saw them when they touched the characters, they started to freeze. So the element that the ghosts have like a freezing potential with them and end up making the ice cream with the holy water, that all adds up and it's really fun. It basically looks like shaved ice that has like different syrups on it. Oh my God. Which unfortunately, as I'm recording this, it's the end of the year, so it's going to be December when you all see this. Unfortunately, there's not a shaved ice stand that I could go and get like a bunch of shaved ice and stuff. There's not one of those around, which is unfortunate. But yeah, I love Chilchuk and Laios being freaked out that since you just ate the holy water that was made in ice cream. Ridiculous. But yeah, what they call it? Exorcism sorbet to drive away evils. I could get rainbow sherbet and have it next week, if anything. And we could have the rainbow sherbet to exorcise evil. We could do that to ring in the new year, couldn't we? Couldn't we? Maybe we'll do that. We'll see. We'll see. I'll get some fruit gushers to put in it to be the gemstones. We'll see about that. But yeah, I like that Laios is always the first one to taste it. He's like, oh, this is actually pretty good. It's got the Holy Spirit inside of it, so it's real fresh. And then what is Senshi? She's like, you added the internal organs. Oh, it was slime. Oh, slime shavings. It was gelatin to help it set. That's what it was. Okay, that makes more sense now, which a lot of ice cream, some of it has gelatin in it, so that makes sense. That's why it jiggles a little. I do like before Laios gets to his conversation here, how Marcel and Chilchuk are just hanging off the edge of that dungeon. No fear. Clearly no fear. But Laios says it makes me think if Falin were here, we wouldn't have had such tasty food. And it's like what Laios is saying is, because they're like, are you glad Falin ended up that way? And they both look at him like he's insane. And it's so funny. But Laios is like, no, that's not what I meant. He's like, I want to rescue my sister and do all that. He's like, but if we hadn't been in this situation, he's like, there's a silver lining to all this. We're learning new things and eating new monsters. And that's what I meant to say. He's such a golden retriever, but I love him. I love Laios so much. Because here's the thing. There's a fine line with himbo characters where it's a fine line to draw because you have some that are disaster himbos and then you have golden retriever himbos. There's a fine line there. Indeed. For example, disaster himbos, the series Arcane that I've been watching, there's a character in that series named Jace who is disaster himbo. And if you watch that show, you know what I'm talking about. In the Donmai that I'm reading, Scum Villain Self-Saving System, one of the main characters, Lo Binghe, disaster himbo. And if you watch that series, you know what I mean. And there are characters that you're just like, what we doing? And then in like Apothecary Diaries, which I'm finishing up season 1 on the channel, there's a character named Haku who is a himbo, but a golden retriever himbo, where you're just like, oh, you're trying so hard, and you got a heart of gold, and you're just doing all the right things, but bless you. Like that's his character. And Laios falls into that golden retriever himbo category, where he just has a heart of gold, and sometimes he may not say things the right way, and he may come across a little dense, but he's got a secret compassionate heart, and there's some secret wisdom in there, and you just want to give him a big hug. I'm all for it. But poor Laios, everybody misunderstands him. And he's like, well, and then I like that Senshi goes, there's things you should say and things you shouldn't. And Laios is like, that's not what I meant. He's like, if only Falin were here right now. She could have said it the way that I meant it. Oh, I like chill check them and then we're like, poor Lios. I love it. It's so good. The humor in this series is so funny. I just eat it up. It's great. It's great. So yeah. But what a great episode. So I'm not going to be baking anything for this week. You guys get the week off. It's the end of the year. We're going to take this week off. But I will probably be baking something next week for episode 6. Maybe we'll see what kind of recipes are with that one. But anyway, so I'm so curious to know your thoughts down below. I hope you enjoyed this reaction discussion. I also hope you have a wonderful end of the year and a happy new year. And yeah, I'm super excited to start out 2025 with some more Dungeon Meshi. So I hope you all have a wonderful week. Take care, and I'll see you next week with some more delicious in Dungeon.